morning, everybody. We are back buat Empire Fit Talk. I have with me Coach Gavi and Coach Dean again. Today we are going to be discussing a few things. Okay. One of it is the pyramid system that we just kind of made a visual on. What is the pyramid of fitness progression or importance that we want to give to our members, and also our level system. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so first off, what is the pyramid of progression that we have currently? What's the bottom of the pyramid and all the way to the top? Anybody want to start?
For me, as we've seen, we already have one here at the gym, right? We already put it up on the board, and like based on my opinion, it's going to be the building blocks or the foundation of our members here and the clients as well, to make sure they know how to progress, right? So with following this pyramid of fitness, they're able to achieve their goal to a certain part later on. So I think basically that's all the main aspect of the pyramid of fitness itself.
Okay. Well, from my side, the fitness pyramid that we have here at Empire is basically it serves as a roadmap for our members, roadmap in terms of their fitness journey. So we kind of encompass all the beginners all the way up to the elite, because we don't want to kind of exclude anyone in the gym. So what I mean by a roadmap is like, what is the first step, the most important step that you need to do in order to create this habit? And then the next step, what do you need to do? The next step, that's where sometimes as we become experienced, we branch off to different goals, right? And then what else? What is at the top of the pyramid? So it serves as a roadmap, as a building block, as a stepping stone, so that us or new members, they don't get lost to what their goal is going to be. So there's always a stepping stone for everybody.
Exactly. What are the bottom and what are the top? Anybody want
Okay,
anybody want to explain the structure there?
All right. So for the structure, the bottom first, because that's like the first thing ever that anyone can comes into the gym needs to adhere to or follow. It's the consistency in training. It's always important part of like
Anywhere you go, anywhere the things that you want to do or achieve, you need to be consistent at it. Then you can progress from it. So basically, that's my take on the first part of the pyramid.
So the first level is consistency in training. Cool. And then?
Well, for me, I think it's about 3 to 4 times a week to start off first, and then from there we can progress depending on your level and how elite you are later on towards down the track. And then you can increase the volume of the training per week.
Okay.
Or decreasing depending on, let's say you're going to compete soon or something, like taper down.
Correct. I think to add on to that is like we put consistency in training in the bottom of the pyramid, because it was about most important for a lot of people to maintain their active lifestyle or to maintain you get to their goals. Because whatever you want to build or whatever you want to create, you got to be consistent at it for a long period of time. Because if you don't have the consistency, you don't have the habit, and you don't have the means or community to actually give you that consistency, whatever you want to achieve is quite hard. So that's why consistency in training, like what Dean says, 3 to 4 times a week, that's pretty good for us, because it's kind of like our 80s program, where we ask them to commit 4 times a week minimum, so that they get used to coming to the gym, they get used waking up early or meeting the traffic, because that it becomes part of their lifestyle.
But I also just want to add on a little bit with the consistency in training. Like there's no point of us jumping onto the next part of the pyramid without having it. It'll be just a disaster wing of that is.
So let me just, because I think we're jumping into that. Let me just explain. Can you guys? Okay, so first we got consistency training. What's the second one?
Nutritional adherence.
So the second one is nutritional adherence. What's the third one?
The third one will be having 2 segments of aesthetic and performance.
Okay, so we got the aesthetic and performance for the third one, and then what's the top of the pyramid?
I believe for Karno next 4. Okay.
All right, so that's how we, and I want to emphasize that this is Empire Pyramid of Fitness, okay? I don't know, maybe some other fitness mythology or does it for fitness gym aren't structuring it this way. I'm not saying that they're wrong or whatever it is, but this is what we see as the order that we, one, see from our member and what we deem as important for our member and how they journey into their training journey. Okay, so first, like Coach Dean just and Coach Gavi just said, why we decided to put that first one as consistency in training as the first one, and then the second one is
Nutritional adherence.
okay. So the second part of that pyramid is the nutritional adherence.
Why have nutritional first? And I'm just to say why is nutritional on center? Yes, explain to us, to me, or the audience, what actually what and what is
In your perspective, why nutritional comes second, and then I'll chime in on that as well.
I mean, from my point of view, and in my opinion, like both of them are actually
hard to start with. Yeah, right. But for most people, especially with the lifestyle nowadays, I think
the obstacle into the consistency in training is a lot harder than the nutritional itself. I mean, nutritional itself, you can actually the food you choose to what you want to eat is a lot easier for you to pick, right? Especially if it's affordable for you guys to buy nutrition. But when it comes to consistency in training, just going to the gym, there's a lot of obstacles going on. But for you buying food, there's a lot of accessibility for you to actually gain it. So I think it's the consistent training should be the first to come first, then the nutritional adherence afterwards. And then there's no point of us having good nutrition, having a goal of performance, let's say, but you're not consistent in training. So it's going to be a reverse effect later on, right? So we want to make sure that our consistency in training is reflected towards the nutritional adherence, then we can go up.
Interesting. What about you, Coach Gavi?
I think from me, I mean, like you say, it's Empire Fitness Pyramid. And you did say, I think you might mention this later, because we're a gym.
Yes.
We're a gym and we can kind of control you guys when you're in class.
Yeah.
Not control in a bad way, as in like we can give you suggestions, we can coach you in class, we can talk to you in class about training. So we get that 1 hour of your time to actually make an impact. So that's why we want that consistency in training first, because we can give them right away when they come to class.
Yeah.
The nutritional adherence comes second, because then that comes to your self-discipline, your commitment. Also, we don't have much hold of your nutrition, because that's what you do outside of the gym. We can tell you what to do, we can influence you what to eat, but sometimes there are outside factors that play into a role, such as maybe you have meetings somewhere in a restaurant or dinner meetings. That's just so the easiest thing, the most basic thing that we can control is the consistency in training.
I like that. Yeah. So one is obviously we're a gym. We would like to see people to start training, right? And also, Coach Dean brought up a good point. I think in terms of getting people to eat versus getting people to train. Like eat is a thing that we do naturally, right? All you gotta do is just change what's on the plate. But I think training is a bit more difficult because it's something that for a lot of people, they have to put an extra effort and it wasn't part of their daily routine, right? So in that sense, you literally have to get out of your way for give time for an hour, and then you have to spend extra money for that, right? And physically and emotionally draining as well, I believe, versus food. Maybe food is more emotionally. I don't know, some people could be physically drained as well, but I feel like with training, you really gotta put effort in there, right? Another thing that I think when it comes to training is that you have to train to get stronger, and you have to train to get fitter in a sense, right? I mean, you could have a great diet or great nutritional intake, but if you don't run or if you don't build muscle, you don't train anything, is healthy for the organ, but you're still going to, I would say, it'll be hard to even consider fit if you ran out of breath, right? Going, I don't know, five stories or something like that, you know, because for endurance, it's not going to be developed just through nutrition only. You have to start running. You have to do endurance exercise. Same thing. If you're eating but you don't do any kind of strength training, you're gonna have a problem. Maybe putting your luggage above your head on the airplane. Now, would you consider yourself fit, even though maybe you're at a low body fat percentage? I don't think so. I think there needs to be a balance between performance on what your body could do, right? Can you run at least considerable amount, and can you actually lift? Can you carry certain thing? You know, if you're tired carrying your purse, that's, I wouldn't say that's considered as fit, right? So to me, I think you have to train to increase performance, and that's your way towards fitness. You can't just get stronger just from food without training, without having any physical stimulus. So that's what I feel we need to put at the bottom, because I feel like once you start training, you'll start seeing progress in whether that's aesthetic or performance progress, right? When you start eating right, you'll see progress mostly on the body fat side, like your sizes and aesthetic mostly. But in terms of strength, in some cases, you're going to decline as you lose more weight, right? Because you start eating healthier, you're losing weight, you're not as stronger, versus when you're 100 kilo versus when you're 70 kilo, right? Without any kind of strength training. So that's why I feel like it's very important to start training, and we put that at the bottom. Because once you get that, I think you start seeing progress, it will motivate you to do other things. Like, oh, you know what? I like making a PR on squat. I'm hitting a plateau now. How can I get from 100 kilo to 120 kilo? And now it become like, I'm willing to do anything to get to that 20 kilo. You know, I'm willing to, I'll eat right. I'll eat whatever I need to eat, so that way I could increase the performance side. You know, so it actually becoming something that will motivate people to eat properly once you start training right. Now, I'm sure that's not the case for everybody, but for the most part, what we've seen people coming through the gym, that's why we witness, and that's why we decided to put that training on the bottom. All right, so that's the structure of it. Now, the second one is nutritional adherence. So why is that? As the second part of the training, as of the pyramid.
Second part of the pyramid?
Yeah.
Okay, like you were alluding to it, right? Because once you get consistency in training, you can only get so far. Let's say you're overweight, right? You're overweight, you start training, you will lose some weight basically, because your body's not used to all those physical activity. Probably you're burning more calories already, so then you see that initial scale go down. But at a certain point where you cannot out-train a bad diet.
There you go.
You still need to be able to put the right things inside your body to actually see changes later on. You need to eat the right amount of protein to build muscle. You cannot be overeating carbs, and then if you want to shred, right? Because sometimes people have the mindset of, I can eat whatever as long as I train hard.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you can still do that, you know, in a beginner level. But as you get more experience, if you rely on that mentality, you will not see a lot of progress. You're gonna be stuck on that plateau. So the next step is like, how can I hone into my nutrition? How can I be more specific with the protein that I eat? You don't have to be specific into the grams of macros that you're eating, but you could choose first, okay, instead of fried chicken, I'll eat baked chicken or something like that. Or rather than I eat martabak, or rather than you eating 5 martabak because you're like, oh my gosh, I just finished a 20K run. Maybe just reduce it to like 1, you know? So those choices will actually matter later on. It will matter later. That's why I think, it's not what I think, it's like literally that's what you need to do.
You go at it.
Yeah. But
From my point of view, for this one, I just want to think of it more logically in terms of the order of the pyramid. So going from, let's say, we're already consistent in training, and while trying to maintain that and keep doing that to achieve a certain goal, we need a proper fuel for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where the nutritional adherence comes forward to, like having proper fuel in order for us to achieve those two different segments of after the nutritional adherence, which is the aesthetic and the performance. So that's why, like, if we think of it logically, so consistency is there, fuel, and then we can go towards that 2 segments.
Awesome. Well, I think you guys cover everything there that needs to be said on the nutrition part of things, right? You just can't skip it, you know. You could, even if you try and be an athlete and then you don't have the nutritional block, you're still gonna help back with a lot of things. Now, obviously, the nutrition what we're talking about here is different from person to person. The food for the athlete versus a food for somebody who's just trying to lose weight, the nutritional could be different, right? But that's what nutritional adherence is. Like, you have to adjust as you're focusing on different things, as you're adjusting with your goal, right? Maybe you want to be a powerlifter as you move forward in your fitness journey, then that kind of food right there is different than what you're eating versus you're trying to get a low body fat percentage. So nutritional adherence here is not like there's a one set of food that you have to eat for you to adhere. It's, okay, is this what going to supplement or what's going to help me towards my goal? Whatever it is, whether it's a performance for a marathon, a bodybuilding competition, I just want to lose a little bit of fat, right? And you could get that one by educating yourself. 2 is by talking to our nutritionists. So that way he could prescribe you how you should approach your diet, because it's always different, right? Like the member, so we have a few members here that they come in obviously just to get fit, build their habit, and also lose weight, right? But as they got that, some of them start competing, joining races, joining competition. But they need to understand that the food now needs to be changed as well, right? Maybe the food that you're eating on the 8 weeks challenge, or the food that you're eating on our just for a regular class will be different versus you training for a race or training for a competition, right? I think a lot of people tend to. Now, it's not that big also. It's just that you have to make adjustment. But here's the thing. Once you stick to something initially, this is why we have the nutritional adherence, it's easy for you to change it up, right? What's hard is that impulse thing and not having the discipline. But once you get the discipline, oh, I want to get ready for a race. Well, you just have to change your food to this. And if you've done that before, just for you to hit your initial goal, it'll be easy for you. Okay, let's move on. Now, the third part of our pyramid, which is interesting because we have 2 segments here. We have 1 aesthetic and 1 performance. So, anybody want to say anything about that?
Well, for me, why do we make it 2 segments is because based on our observation as well, right, towards our members, our clients, there are some people who care more about how they look, and the other segment will be some people care more about their performance, like performing better in pull-ups, deadlift, squat, bench press, or something that we can actually measure, right? So yeah, I think that's why we make those 2 segments, and then it'll be something way different from one another as well.
Right, from my side, it's similar to what Coach Dean says, because there's two different ways you can approach fitness. Either you
Yeah.
want to look good or you want to be able to do cool stuff, not cool stuff, like perform well, right? And then once you're done with that first level of pyramid, the second level of pyramid, you're a newbie, right? At this point, you have seen some results. But as soon as you need to branch off to aesthetic or performance, that's sometimes when you plateau. You need to kind of focus your attention to what do I want to do. If let's say you want to focus on performance, then it needs to be your training needs to be catered for performance. As in, if you want to gain strength, your nutrition also needs to be catered for gaining that strength.
Yeah.
Nggak bisa kalau you want to lose fat, be shredded, and then you want to lift as heavy as possible. It's quite hard-ish gitu. So that's when, if you want to be shredded, then we need to talk more about, okay, maybe the training is like hypertrophy style, a little bit of cardio, and then your carbs need to be lower down a little bit gitu. Called performance, different types of performance. You want to be able to run more, you're able to lift more. The training and nutrition will have to cater to that.
Yeah.
That's why we kind of have to segment it that way.
Such a plethora of things when it falls under performance, I think. When it comes to aesthetic, it kind of like, okay,
This is
this is it. But performance, okay, what kind of things do you want to get better at, right? So, anything else, Coach Dean?
Well, I think again, I mean, Coach Gavi already mentioned more about the nutritional adherence in the performance, right? But maybe for the aesthetic, again, I mean, you just stick to what it is, but it's just basically the deficit of calories, trying to hit that body fat percentage down and trying to get that muscle up or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think now when it gets to the performance, also we only focus performance 3 to 5, right? It's not like one, because one is level 1 is
For those of you guys, we're talking about level system.
level
we haven't
system.
talked about level
Oh, yeah,
system
that's
yet.
right. I think first off, the performance and the aesthetic. When it comes to those two goals, I find it easier to separate them. Now, can we get one by doing the other? You can a little bit, right? Like I could get stronger focusing on aesthetic. Like if I'm doing bench press 3 set of 10, those also still get stronger. But it won't be as strong as I was doing like something 5x5 or like a proper strength program versus a bodybuilding program. So you could get one or the other. And I found that focusing on one, you'll get there sooner. You'll get there faster. Okay. So what tend to happen is that why we create it that way is so people see progress and make a proper journey on their fitness progress. Okay, so because if you have all kind of things in your head what you want to do, you're just not gonna be focused on it, right? But if you're like, you know what, in the next 8 weeks to 12 weeks, I'm gonna focus on losing 3% body fat. That quantify it makes it easier for the coach to program. It makes it easier for the client to follow, right? Versus, you know what, I want to be able to do 20 pull-ups, but I also want to get my shoulder leaned out and, you know, my butt, I want to get better at this. And it's just like, woof, right? There's a lot of things that we need to try there. And the more sporadic it is, the more training that you can't miss. But if you're like, okay, you know what, I want to get my pull-up first, and then I want to get my butt this, and then I want to get my body fat percentage, then I think it makes it easier for the member, and members need to understand that's why we do this level and the separation of the goal. So basically now the third part of the pyramid is more goal specific, right? Like with your performance and that. Cool. I think I don't want to get too much into that for now. Especially later, we're gonna give classes on the level system. What is the level one, level two, and then level three. There's level three performance, level three aesthetic. Level four, level four performance, level four aesthetic, level five performance, level five aesthetic. Um, I think by having this level system is going to help cater whatever our members at in terms of their fitness journey. So that's why we make this, so that way it's a better approach for each client. Okay, you need to be training this, you need to be doing this, you need to be focusing on this. You're so close at this to get to level four, you need to be doing this, right? So it gives them like the oversight all the time. All right, and then lastly, we got our top of the pyramid, which is sport or athlete. Okay. Anybody wanna give your 2 cents on that first? Why is that the top, and why we make it that way?
Well, for my side, let's say a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
They probably will need to be in that aesthetic part where they need to have that body fat at a certain amount, and then once they pass through that, then they can actually compete, right?
Yeah.
So they need to go through all of those consistency in the training as well at the gym, right? And then the nutritional for getting that body fat percentage down. Well, and then it's gonna reflect towards that aesthetic level, and then from there, the person can compete. Same thing. Let's say someone is going for a marathon, where a lot of people are doing it right now. Again, consistency in the training of the runnings and some strength training as well, nutritional as well with more carbs because of their main fuel. Going up to the performance, right? Trying to get like let's say try to beat their PR or try to have a set of time that they wanna have to finish like for their half marathon or full marathon or 10K, and then from there they can focus more on that running, right? So that's basically why we put the sport and the athlete at the top.
Yeah.
I think for me, the sport and athlete it's at the top because those people have been doing all those things that we mentioned before, right? You've got your shit down, basically.
Yeah.
You're one of the most disciplined.
Yeah, you should have your
people,
discipline.
the
Yeah.
most motivated people, self-motivated
Yeah.
people, so that once at that top of the pyramid, consistency shouldn't be an issue
Yep.
because it's part of their daily life. Nutritional adherence shouldn't be an issue because they know that they need to be eating that way in order to hit a specific number for, let's say, a powerlifting meet or for a marathon or
Yeah.
for a bodybuilding competition, because all of those it's a sport.
Yeah.
That's why if you want to be at the top of the pyramid, if you want to compete, I think you need to make sure that you've got all those things down before you try and do that, do a certain race or a certain event, because then you're just waiting for a recipe of disaster if you're not training well, you're not eating well, you're not recovering well, and then you try and compete. You're just not ready.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to sport, become an athlete, it's no longer just about food and training. It's no longer just adherence in terms of nutrition and also consistency in training, right? There's a lot of mental aspect. There's a lot of sacrifice that you have to make. And some of the things that you do for sport may not be what we would do just to get fit. It could be contradicting. So the pinnacle of that is whether you're here to win or because that's the aim, right? To do your best and perhaps to win or perhaps to progress in that competition because you're going against other people and stuff. You're trying to beat them. And if you're focusing on that right away without getting all of the bottom of the pyramid done, you're just waiting to get hurt. All right. You're just waiting for a emotional wreckage, I would say. Because the sacrifice you have to make to compete, even half-assing it, it's a lot. Does that make sense? It's like you have to give up so many to want to compete in something, even though you're just half-assing it. Maybe you don't have the ambition to be first place. Even if you just I want to get to 30th place, not 300th place. It's already a lot of sacrifice you have to make to compete in that sport. Now, on top of that, you not prepare, right? Because what happens when we do sport, what do we do when we compete? We sometimes do things that we won't do during training. We push over the edge, right? We push because adrenaline is high, a lot of people are watching. So if you're physically not ready and nutritionally you're not there, and then you think just having the mental fortitude is gonna push me through it, or well, don't be surprised you'll end up with something that would affect you for the rest of your life. Right? I'm just giving an example. I tore my shoulder. I've had a surgery on it. I'm gonna have to live with this for the rest of my life, right? I've done things to my back, to my knee, for the sakes of sport. Because I was like, boom, and I was like, I only got one shot. I gotta go. I gotta give it everything I got. Boom, and the effect that I'll get from giving everything on the field, I will live with it for the rest of my life. I like to say I'm 34 years old with a 60-year-old body now. Sometimes I wake up, oof, right? Now, if that's something you're passionate about, we're not trying to hold you to it, but as a coach, as an ex-athlete, we know what it takes. And we want to make sure you as a civilian first, or just a general population, before you go into that sport, you're prepared. Because nothing worse than nothing worse than digress. And the next thing you know, you're out for 3 years because you push a little too hard. Now you can't even do the sports that you like. And you can't even do the basic things that you need to do just to get in shape. I've seen it so many times. When people got hurt, they let go, right? So we put that at the top because we want people to build a proper block first. So that way we minimize the chance of you hurting yourself, and hopefully we could, if you get all those bottom pyramid done, hopefully you do quite well where you see progress even during the sport, even when you sport. So when you push, you're ready for it, you know? That's why we were at the top, because now it's not about just losing weight. It's not just about whatever. It's really about all these encompassing things that you gotta do. And I think if you're just seeing small little progress, 2-3 months into Empire, or even 6 months into your fitness journey, get those basic things before you even want to jump into any sport. Okay, sports is fun. Sport will motivate you to train. But then again, the things that you do for sports, sometimes it's not the things that you should be doing at a beginner level, right? That's why there's a step to this. There's a step to this. It's like, oh, I've learned how to drive now. 2 months later, I want to start racing in NASCAR. It's like, or I want to start pulling up and then go on the drag race, right? It's not gonna end well. Right? You want to do this for a long period of time. And if you like sport also, you want to be able to do that for a long period of time. And when you want to transition sport, you could do it. So make sure we got all of that things toned down, tune up before we start focusing on sport. That's our take on it. That's one thing that I wish I would have known when I was going through the sport. I mean, I was pretty strong, but I was shit when it comes to food and recovery. Well, recovery, right? Sport, now recovery even matter more. Right? Performance, yeah, you got to start caring about recovery. But when it comes to sport, damn. Recovery is like on a whole nother level, right? And I think you need to learn that on that pyramid before you get to the sport, you know, before you get to the athlete phase of things. You'll learn about recovery during performance. performance phase.
Can I just chime in a little bit on
Yeah,
that?
go ahead.
Because I think if you are, what is it called? You want to be committed to a sport. That sport is being an athlete, competing in a sport professionally or very focused on it. It becomes part of your life.
Oh yeah.
If you just think that you can play a sport for fun, but if you want to perform well, you need to think, like you said, about the recovery, about the food, about the training. Because can I mention people in this podcast or not?
You say client.
Client, yeah. Okay. I have a client that is a professional athlete. Literally, it's physio training.
Yeah. Okay, you can
sleep
mention him. Yeah.
is a part of
Yeah.
his
His
it's
everyday,
daily
yeah.
life. Yeah.
That's shout out to Danny, by the way. Right? You're talking
Yeah,
about Danny,
yeah,
right?
I'm talking about Danny.
He's a professional golf athlete,
Mhm.
right? Represent Indonesia in a lot of the competition. When you see him, man, and the way he trained, right? Like everything what he does revolve around his competition.
Yeah.
It's not about him. It's
Like,
about
how
his
can you
competition.
perform at your best at that competition?
Yeah.
That's the mentality.
Training, recovery, even mindset. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk a lot about like, having the right mindset, even talk about like the sports psychology aspect of things. And that's just for what? That's just to get 0.01% better at that level. You get what I mean? But you have to sacrifice so many.
Mhm.
And that's the part where people don't understand. And here's the thing, right? If you compare the injuries, people doing fitness, people doing sport, the sports injuries are high, way more than people getting hurt themselves doing fitness, right? Weightlifting with the PT or something like that, right? So as a coach and as an athlete, we just want to let our members. We're not telling you not to do sports.
Mhm.
We're telling you like proper progression to get to that. And that's what you come to us for. Otherwise, no training plan, no food adherence, no consistency in training. You're going to be running around Gebeka and you think that's enough for a marathon. Well, I wouldn't recommend that. All right. And if you want to excel also, like you have to take it properly so you could recover and then you could get back to training, I was talking to my buddy Arturo about this. At the highest, sorry, it wasn't Arturo, it was another person. At the highest level in terms of sport, it's not about who is the strongest, the fastest, or the most skillful. At the highest level, it becomes who could stay injury free throughout their season and throughout their training, because they're performing 110, 120%, maximize everything. You're just hoping the other person pull their hamstring. You get what I mean? It's like I don't have to beat his time when I was running. I just hope he got hurt. You know what I mean? Like I'm not training, so in some cases, I just want to get 0.02 faster. But also at the same time, I'm like, okay, I gotta stop now because I don't want to hurt myself. Because I want to stay healthy. Because gaining 0.2 and then blowing my hamstring the next race, it doesn't make sense, right? So yeah. Anyway, there's just so many things when it comes to sport. Just respect it. That's why we have that pyramid there. I like to see if I have somebody from zero, I want to build them up. Blah, 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 blah. Then when I feel they're ready, then okay, here you can start joining a marathon. You can start doing this. You can start doing that. Because marathon is a sport, man. You can't just run 42K and then thinking that's just a weekend run. Anyway. All right, cool. Well, that's our pyramid, right? Where should we go from here? Empire level system. Okay, so for those of you who might have seen it, we have an empire level system at the gym now. It's hung up. Okay, we have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now we've changed it up in terms of 6. So I first started this in 2017. Okay, so let's go through them really quick. I don't want to just list them down like everything, but
I'm like cheat sheet.
Yeah. Oh, you got it, huh? All right, so let's go with level 1. What do we have for level 1?
Well, again,
Level 1 is you should at least come to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and increasing your protein intake.
There you
That's
go.
your level 1.
There you go.
I'm gonna
So
take a
if
cheat
you
sheet now.
if you know you're doing that, just like in our pyramid, consistency in training, I think level 1 is focusing on that consistency in training, right? What about level 2?
Level 2, I've got it right here.
What's level 2?
Level 2, do you want me to list the things now?
Sure. What do we got level 2?
Okay, so for performance is 20 plus modified push-ups for female and 30 plus modified push-ups for male in 1 minute.
Okay.
So you gotta get these 4 categories, and then there's 20 TRX rows for females, 25 TRX rows for male in a minute, 20 plus sit-ups in a minute for both male and female, 30 plus air squats in a minute for both male and female. So if you can, if you're able to do these 4 things, you have achieved level 2.
Nice. All right. And then they have the aesthetic also?
Aesthetic also.
Okay.
So we go by body fat range. For male is about 25 to 28%. You're
Right.
at level 2. Ladies 30 to 33.
Nice. So level 1 is just a straightforward training 3 to 4 times and then increase protein intake. Why is that? Why is level 1 is not more specific versus now level 2? We're getting start more specific, right? There's a split between performance and aesthetic.
Level 1, I think it should just be achievable enough for a lot of people, so
Yeah.
that they don't get, oh man, I'm not even level 1 yet.
Well, I think to give in level 2, if your level 1 sucks,
Yeah.
because level 1, I think it apply for both, whether it's performance
And
or is aesthetic.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I think level 1 is the one thing that it goes for both ways, right? Okay. So level 2. Now, obviously, now level 3 is maybe we don't have to
list it all
list it
down.
out. Level 3 is harder than what we got for level 2.
Yeah, so you got strict push-ups, strict pull-ups,
Right.
strict high knee raises, and then we'll test your
lifting.
10 rep max back squat, something
Nice.
like that.
And then for body fat percent, for
It
aesthetic.
just goes lower.
Goes
For male
lower.
and female, the ranges go lower.
By the way, these are adjustable based on the age, right? What we posted is just for demographic of 19 was it? 19 to 36, yeah. Okay, so if you're older than that and then you want to get into the level system, we're going to adjust it based on your age. Okay. And obviously both of them, is that mean level 3, you have to do all of that plus the aesthetic, or is it one or the other?
One or the
Yes. So on that level system, you pick, I want to be level 3 on performance, or you want to be level 3 on aesthetic.
If you're in both, great.
If you're in both, that's even better. But
You're jacked and you
Yeah,
can
there you
be
go.
able to do that. It's
Yeah.
great.
so don't get it twisted, by the way. I know a lot of people are taking pictures of it and be like, speculate. But guys, it's one or the other. It's not both, okay? Like we mentioned, we want you to be focusing, whether it's aesthetic, we focus on aesthetic, whether it's performance, focus on performance. All right? And then we got level 4, we got level 5, and then lastly, we got level 6. Now, level 6 hasn't really put that in there, right? If you
Yeah.
guys could see. Because I think that's at the realm of sports now, right? What you're aiming for, it's sports. By the way, do you have to be on level 5 to be an athlete for playing sports?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't think so. But I think
I'm
you,
looking
you
at
need to have a base of, what's it called, strength, right? To
Yeah.
get to a certain athlete without having to negate
Mhm.
what you have to do for sports, right? So these things also what the way I created, if I had somebody like Danny, for instance, start training with me, I will also see where he's at when it comes to these things. Now, do I need to get him to go 2.5 times squat, 2.5 times body weight? No, but if I see him, he's not even on level 3 in terms of pull up or level, then I'm like, we need to work on that, okay? So, I think in general, as an athlete, you should be at least level 3, right? And then you could be focusing on one more specific things than the other. But at that point, you're at the athlete level. Anyway, going back to this, as we go to level 4, level 5, it's now we add, right? First is gymnastic and like body weight,
Yeah.
like, you know, with weight, and then some agility, right? Agility or endurance, right? And then that stacks up more and more and more. Okay. And I think that's something that we could do here at the gym. That's why we created that way. We could get you from level 1 to level 5, even level 6 if we start to quantify what level 6 is for a specific individual athlete. Okay. But the reason why we want to have this level is just like a video game, right? It's like, you know, you're making progress. Right? Okay, from here, I need to beat this boss. I need to get this. I need to get this. I need to get this. I think this will make it easier for one, progress, and also in choosing your classes, using your program. Okay, like I need to focus on this. I need to focus on this. Where you're on level this to get to level 4, you need to do these classes, or you need to do this program. Maybe you need to talk to PT and focus on this. Okay. Anything to add, Coach Dean?
Well, I think, yeah, again, that gamification part is what makes it fun, like a fun aspect for people to actually try to achieve from these levels as well. And it's more fun now. They actually like, the more the level, let's say level 5, I think it will be lesser people to try to achieve that, because it's getting harder and harder, and it needs to have more commitment, right, towards it. And then that shows there whether you're very committed to it or not as well. Like, is this person actually very committed to trying to get level 5 or level 6 or something like that? So yeah, I think that gamification works well with people just wanting to, like, okay, I'm at level 3, I still want to try to hit level 4, even though that maybe for one individual will take longer than the other.
Cool. All right, guys. I think that's it. Anything else to add for this level system, Coach Gavin?
Probably just one more. Just don't get ahead of yourself when you're starting out, right? This the way we have the level system is you have steps to kind of like progress, exactly, steps to progress. And then some levels to level, it might take longer. From level 1 to level 2 is easier. You just got to stay patient. Don't get ahead of yourself. 1% better every day, and then you see that stacking up.
Yeah, stay the course, right? Obviously, as you get to the level, it gets harder and harder. Level 3 to level 4, you're gonna take a longer commitment, right? Level 1 to level 2, level 3 will be easier to achieve. So stay the course, and we're gonna have a class about this currently September 2nd. But if you miss it, feel free to talk to any of us in terms of which level you are, and we're gonna start having consistent schedule on testing days for these. Okay, cool. I think that's it. We've deep a lot into the pyramid system and the level. Hopefully that gives some clarity of where we're headed with the Empire Fit Club training. So hopefully this will help. Again, guys, if you have any question, feel free to comment and DM us. We'll definitely want to hear from you. Until next time, peace out.